Good morning, good morning. How are you? Last day of the week, this week. Then my left hand turns blocked up again. I haven't done that for ages. Do you remember they put some drains in down there to try and, because there's someone, I don't know, they did something with the field, planted it up with apples or something. And there was a tremendous amount of runoff water, flooded the road all the time, and then they put drains in and the drains got blocked up. So they've closed it once again to try and put new drains in. Let's get that removed before flight thing off the flight deck. And now they're unblocking the blockage. So with a bit of luck, we'll have no lake to drive through if we want to go towards Sandwich. How are you anyway? Hope you're well. Nice conditions for filming. Low white cloud. I'm only working in the morning, 8:45 to 1, because it's Friday. Always have Friday afternoon off. Didn't used to like doing that because it was such a cliche, wasn't it? There were everyone who came in and said, you know, dentists don't work Friday afternoons because they're all on the golf course. That was a cliche. And I've played golf once in my life with my brother. We went out on the course and on the driving range. On the driving range, the ball, I think I actually hit it backwards. It bounced off the shed that you stand in, and the bloke who was next to me picked his bucket of balls up and moved down the other end because he was worried about losing an eye. So I can't blame him. So that was my experience with golf. It's not that I don't. I mean, I have played sport in the past, but I honestly do find it difficult to muster up any enthusiasm for people. What's the classic line about just hitting a ball into a hole with a stick? I know that's what most sports are. I mean, look at it. Sports. What are sports? They're just an invitation to tribalism, aren't they? Doesn't matter whether you're bashing a pig's bladder around with your foot or whacking a bunch of chicken feathers over a net. It's all just tribalism, hitting a explosive ping pong ball over on a table. It's all about being competitive, isn't it? You're going to drive straight out in front of me, aren't you? Honestly. Don't worry about waiting don't wait for the traffic. They all expect you to drive over this hatched area on the left. And I don't do it. I don't. That's a yellow and green pub. There was a lot of publicity, let's put it this way. Publicity about the pub when they painted it that colour. There's some nice people who bought it. I mean, I'd say nice. You go in there and you buy a drink. The beer's good and everything, but it's never busy. And I don't know, when I go in a pub, I do expect the landlord to say, how you doing, sort of thing. I know they don't. They usually don't like to engage in conversation. Especially now, it's just like, pubs just get a basic service level agreement, don't you? Oh, let me. Do you know, I went to all the bother of buying these lavalier mics, and I never remember to plug them in. See if that's any better. But yeah, you know, basically you just go in, you get a pint of beer, and then that's it. You're left to your own devices. Not that they don't listen to what you're saying. I've never been in a pub that didn't twig what you were saying. In fact, I was in a London pub once, and we were debating how to make what's cocktail with with liqueur in it, vanilla liqueur, orange juice, and vodka. Anyway, we finally decided that we had the recipe, and then the barman from about 20 yards away said, "Oh no, that's not right." He said, "It's not banana liqueur. It's a Harvey Wallbanger. Is the name of the Harvey Wallbanger. Excellent, excellent. My favourite liqueur, I must say. Yeah, Galliano vodka and orange juice." And not only do you get pleasantly squiffy, you get vitamin C. Oh, I was close, stupid boy. They don't understand. It's a good job I drive a narrow car. So, I've had a few difficult patients lately. I had this old guy. Oh, it's a long story, but basically he had bridge work. His bridge work failed. He went for another quote for bridge work. He was literally quoted 60,000 quid. So he came back to me for a denture, and I spent the entire time complaining about how long it takes to make a denture. And we even made him a temporary acrylic denture. Because he said he had to go on holiday and he didn't want to go without any teeth. So that he was making so much fuss, and the problem was that we had to take some teeth out after we took the impression for the chrome. So the chrome now fits, but the acrylic, but it sort of shifted slightly. So we've had to build the teeth down to compensate for the gum shrinkage that's already occurred. Anyway, you don't want to know about all this. It's just a case of he put a lot of pressure on me to get it to fit, to take it to fit, and I had to. I thought about it, and I thought long and hard, and I thought, no, we need another try-in on this. So we got him back, and we did another try-in. Now the key was to book him on the end of the session. In other words, we booked him in like 12 o'clock when we were going home at 1. And so I was able to keep him in the chair as long as I liked, until I was totally happy that everything was all right. And even then, he didn't like the. I'll put in a picture of the eventual of the try-in, but he didn't like that because the teeth were new, and his bridge work was flat. You know, like old man's teeth are sort of flat, and so he wasn't even happy until we ground the new teeth flat. Well, I tell you what that tells you, and it may not be what you think. It tells you that he's very, very cute about appearance. It's all very well, you know, thinking, oh, he's an old twit, and basically he's just complaining because he's depressed about the fact that he's now lost all his teeth, having not had dentures all his life, and he must be in his 70s, late 70s. And he's now had to go to a denture, and so you think, oh well, he's angry about that, but he's one of these guys who he's pushing you all the time, pushing your buttons all the time. You know, why is it taking so long? Why is it costing so much? Why do I have to pay in advance? All this stupid. And you have to just take a step back from that and say, look, this patient is a troll. He's trying to wind me up. And if I let him wind me up, then, he's won. So when in the early days I was responding to him like, he would say, well, why does it cost so much? And I said to him, look, you've had 2 dentures. We've actually made you an acrylic denture to keep you going while we've been making you a metal-based denture. And we didn't charge you for that. That's because that's part of the service that we provide. If you've got a special need and we can help you out with it as part of being a private patient with us, then that's what we do. And he was, he was very aggressive. He was like, well, do you want me to pay for it then? And I'm like, no, that's not why I bought it up. I just bought it up to tell you that I think, overall, I think you're getting a good deal. And you should stop, don't be so bloody grumpy about it. But you can't stop them being grumpy because it's an artifice. It's just their negotiating style. It's like Richard Denny always said, whenever anybody gives you a price for anything, the first thing you always do is go, really? That much? Puts them on the back foot. Even if secretly you're thinking, Christ, I thought it'd be a lot more than that. So that's his, it's part of his personality. And the biggest problem is he thinks it makes him likable. He thinks he's a bit of a joker and, and he's got this, always making jokes about his nose because he's Jewish. And he has got quite a big nose. So when we're taking pictures of the teeth, because that's another thing. I've taken pictures of his teeth. I've taken pictures of the try-in, and I was holding the try-in in the correct position, and I got the nurse to take the pictures of the teeth. And then we did it the other way around. She held the try-in and I took the pictures. So now we've got some pictures of his try-in, which he's okayed. In his begrudging way, he's like, well, yeah, what do I know? I suppose, yeah, that's all right. But I've now got some pictures which, if it does hit the fan, I can say, look, we've spent a lot of time, trouble over making this denture. You have to prove that we were negligent, which is that we had a reckless disregard for the procedure, or that we knew that something should have been done another way, but we deliberately didn't do it that way. So really, it's an insurance policy, in case you have to then justify it to your indemnifier. And I can say, look, we spent 10 visits on him, we made him a denture. This is the photo of the try-in, which we're okay, which as you can see is okay. And challenge him really to prove that you've done a bad job, which they can't, because for the 99% of the times you haven't done a bad job. Or even if it's turned out to be a bad job, it's through no fault of your own. You've done the job in good faith, and you can't guarantee that everything works. I mean, we actually say that in our quote. We say that while we endeavour to produce a good result, sometimes things don't work out the way that we want them to. And so you can't hold us responsible for the fact that there is a failure rate in dentistry. If you want us to absorb the cost of remaking the failures, then you have to let us know. And what we'll do is we'll charge you twice as much, so that if our first attempt fails, then we can afford to have a second attempt. So all this is sort of defensive dentistry. Plus, obviously, we've got the problem of him never having worn a denture, and now going to pretty much a complete denture. And all he's got is the bridge that I made for him, which is upper right 1, 2, 3, 4, and no other upper teeth. So I'm going to put a denture in to replace pretty much 6 to 6, because I think that's about all he needs for appearance. And he's got no lower back teeth. So really he needs a lower denture. But I think I've probably had about as much of him as I can take. And I'm sure he's had about as much of me as he can take, you know. He was like, I do remember him saying after we did the bridge, you know, you know, thanks very much, but I'll put you on my list of dentists that I might come to in the future, you know. Sort of, again, he's like the nose thing, you know. So I'm sure you can get pictures of my teeth past my nose. The correct answer is no, I'm not sure. You've got a bloody great nose and it is getting in the way. And if it isn't getting in the way, then the shadow from it is getting in the way. You know, that is the correct answer to that. Not, don't worry your nose, you don't have a big nose, or don't worry your nose, we can take pictures of your teeth without getting your nose in the shot. You know. I mean, and if he's made one joke about his nose, he's made 10. So, and he's an ex-publican, so he's got the gab, you know. He's got the autocratic power complex that goes with running your own pub in the East End. So, I mean, I'm glad I'm not a younger practitioner, because I think in my younger days, I would have struggled with him. Nowadays, you still struggle because the environment is different. You know, you're automatically assumed to be in the wrong now as a dentist if you get into any sort of contretemps dispute with a patient. So you could be the best dentist in the world, and I've done my best, honestly, to be the best dentist in the world. In my particular vertical sector of it, you know, we do everything to the best of our abilities, and we have abilities as well. I mean, the other day I did an MOD filling in something like 16 minutes, and that included getting the patient numb and doing it under rubber dam. So we're very slick, and if there's anything that we can improve, we always improve it. It wasn't so in the early days. I'm coming up to 10 years now since I bought my surgery. I bought it on 11/11/15, and on Armistice Day this year, it'll be 10 years since I was there. And the first 3 years were very difficult, and we had no money. And you can tell, for example, if you take a bite, when you're doing a crown and you need to take a bite, if you do it with pink wax, then really you're doing it on the cheap, and you're doing it in a way that's not going to be always very accurate. Whereas if you use something like Blue Moose, you're spending more money, but you're doing it with the best material for the job, and it's likely to be much more accurate. So we've spent 10 years swapping out all our wax-like practices and replacing them with Blue Moose type practices. Until I can honestly say I can't. Well, I mean, if there was anything else we could swap out, we would. One of the things I did swap out was the graphics card on the computer. I replaced a 1080, I think, with a 4070, and So we might see a few more of these videos. Yes! Ha ha ha! Ha 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 ha! For you. You're going to get a few more of these videos now. I've got an upgraded graphics card. Not that it's doing the rendering that much faster, to be honest with you. I thought it would render about 4 times the speed. And it maybe I just haven't got it configured correctly. It's not... yeah, what have I got now? Oh no, go for it, go for it. Mr. JR. JR.co.uk. I wonder if it's the J. When someone calls themselves JR, the J usually stands for something like Jagjivan. Anyway, he's got car parts and he wants to get them there quick. So, yeah, so the environment is different. I mean, it's so, it's too defensive now to the point where it's affecting patient care. Patients are being told that all this is done for their benefit, and it's not. In fact, it's done to their detriment. And not only do they get a more defensive dentist who's less likely to, try and sort them out in any sort of non-standard way, but it's also, but they're also lumbered with the cost of the inspection and testing and the compliance that is lumped upon them. So they're paying for the CQC, my monthly subscription to the CQC. And my radiation protection, etc., etc. Anyway, I'm nice and early, I'll tell you. Yeah, we'll see if the staff have turned up. Mind you, they'll both be there by now. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.